Hi everybody, welcome back to my Dungeon Boss campaign series. We are about to finish up Chapter 8 in the normal campaign here as we round out our low level 20s. We'll check out Chapter 9, see what the levels have in store, and then after that we'll determine if we need to level up or if we should level up a little bit before moving on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to these last three dungeons here. We have a mixture of purple boss, yellow enemies, and red enemies. So elementally, we should actually be pretty good here. Unless it's a really short dungeon, we should be pretty much free reign to use some skills here, particularly with Darius. Both of those guys will probably hit pretty hard against Ella and Darius, so we need to manage some crowd control. So really it's going to come down to in order to get my taunt off, I'm actually going to daze one of these guys and preferably kill the other. That should mitigate some of the damage that they could do against me. So, and actually, we're going to end up killing both of these guys, unfortunately. I'll actually take a gamble here and do a taunt here first. I don't anticipate these guys are going to do a ton of damage. But you never really know, and I don't want a swarm of yellow guys coming at me on the next one. So we'll get our taunt up, and then we'll deal with the fallout later. I don't think we're going to need a ton of healing for the next few turns, and it's a 3-room dungeon, so the heal is going to be pretty unimportant here. So we'll kill one of these guys, do AoE, and then we'll head into the main room with our taunt preferably up, and we should be able to manage the boss fight pretty well there with the taunt still up. Alright, so the only thing to note about these guys is their little champion level here. So obviously we have basically an elite, and we have a semi-elite. If you've ever looked at these, the color relates to the star level. So 2 stars. You will see guys that have more powerful. You'll see some variation in the color coding from time to time. But I see purple and... Alright, I stand corrected. The purple's just their elemental color. But I have seen some instances where they do have different colors. I feel like I've seen some silver ones as well. But maybe I'm just imagining things. Anyways, let's try and kill this elementally disadvantaged guy first. That actually helps us quite a bit then. These are the ones that you gotta watch out for, is when they do those weird AoEs. But he didn't have an element on me, so it's not a big deal. Alright, should be just about dead, unless he's got a bad disease-based attack or something like that. Nothing too serious there. We'll throw a crit on Darius. It's apparently a tough one to take down. He's got a lot of health and pretty high defense. That kind of sucks. He removed my taunt, but shouldn't matter at this point here. I don't think he's really got much left in the chamber. There's the disease-based attack that I was worried about. So, fortunately, Darius is not diseased. That helps. And then I'll just use my cleanse on Ella just so I can get one of my attackers back. Should only be about one more turn, I think. Maybe 2 turns. He's got pretty high defense for a little goblin. Other than that, though, nothing overly difficult here. We probably could have gotten by with a different caster instead of Ella. She wasn't really that necessary. Um, so, depending on your roster, I think there's a lot of options there. But I like the team that I'm running here, so I just keep on using it. Alright, Infinite Army. Get some Selwyn tokens. We have Elemental Advantage on the caster boss. See, this is what I was referring to before. Notice there's like a silver there. I've seen different colors here as far as the bosses goes. Obviously, this silver doesn't represent their color. And that must have been what I was thinking, but I've seen like silver and gold skull picks. So I don't know if that means anything. I'm kind of relating it to other MMOs where you have elite bosses and champion bosses, and you have like elite level, like world boss type bosses that are beyond even both of those. But I can obviously clearly see that the color here represents their actual elements, so can't really argue with that, I guess. We'll see what happens when we get to the boss fight, I guess. Those guys seem to take a pretty good beating. They must not have had much left over, though. They hit pretty hard, though. It's pretty dangerous. We'll go ahead. Actually, let's save this for the next room because these guys are almost all dead already, I think, based on what I saw before. I would normally heal with low health, but being that Yasmin's the one that needs the healing, I'm going to wait until after she's not diseased, otherwise it's a wasted heal anyways. Apparently Darius didn't do hardly any damage to that one guy. It's moderately disappointing. Longer dungeons, so we're going to have some energy regeneration going on here. Alright, let's go ahead and use this since we have a long way to go. Fought purple cubes before in the last chapter. They weren't overly difficult, but some of them did have a decent amount of health. Thought maybe I would be able to take that one out, but not quite. Generally tend to go against heroes that are not dazed. Usually the dazed heroes are far less threatening, which is why I'm taking out the little tank guy instead of the blob. Throw a taunt on there just to protect the next room. And we also have our AoE for Darius up on the next room as well, so we should be sitting pretty good here. Smart play would be to not use the AoE right away. Actually, maybe it would be. I think it's going to be a longer room anyways. I was going to say to just let the taunt run its course first, but I'm going to throw a heavy crit attack on these guys here, because I think even with this, they'll probably still survive. Yep, we can see the one already did. So now having that taunt up is actually going to be pretty helpful. Get a little bit of heal just to kind of top everybody off. I'd like to ideally get Stonefist next Ascension, but I also have a feeling that I'm going to be ditching him pretty soon too. I made mention a couple of times that I'd like to switch over to William or Yoko just because of their speed. Obviously Stonefist is really good because he's immune to most of the debuffs. He's not a construct, but he's extremely resilient to a lot of stuff. And he has a pretty large health pool for this level, which makes him just a really good tank altogether. But that slow speed, it's kind of a killer. Got lucky there that actually didn't kill me. That intensified disease is no joke. It's far worse at higher levels when you're doing harder dungeons when all the enemies are, 5 and 6 star and elite level. Should be able to get our taunt back up though. That'll save us a little bit of damage then. And actually our heal should be coming back up pretty soon too then. And we can top everybody off again. Even though we took a little bit of damage, we managed pretty well. Main thing is to manage our energy expenditure here so that we have something for the boss room. We don't want to go in there totally unprepared. So like this AoE here, I'm going to save that just in case the boss room has several guys in there. Because if I kill all these guys in one turn, then I'm going to have to burn an energy potion, which I'm not ready to do yet. This one I don't have a problem using though, because Ella's not really that critical to my damage output, because on the first turn anyways I'm going to be using her blood ritual anyways, so not a big deal if she doesn't have that charm. Until I can see what the boss room looks like anyways, there's really no benefit in keeping the charm. I'm not even sure that it's going to be useful. Alright, so taunt went down again. We'll actually should be able to get that back right before the boss room, which is a good deal. However, yep, I was worried about that. I was going to heal with Yasmin and then taunt with Stonefist. I guess that was just a bad break when Darius gets a good attack in there. So the charm on that guy probably actually would have been pretty good because he is a little bit better of a hero. So this guy has a silver skull, but you can still see the red for the element. So until I get more data, I'm still assuming that there's definitely silver and gold skulls. I'll have to look into that to see what that actually represents, but I feel like it means something. I think it has to represent their ascension level in terms of what skills they have. Because we'll watch what he does for attacks. Obviously every hero is going to have at least one skill to start with, and then some of them we can just tell based on what they look like. If they match existing heroes that we have, we'll be able to tell if they're the equivalent of fully ascended. So he's got Arcane Bolts. That was his first main one. Let's see what he does next. I'm surprised that actually killed with the disease on. Alright, I'm going to heal Stonefist. Still no second skill yet, but that just could be because of energy cost. It's not like the tower or PvP where they have all of their skills already pre-charged. They do have to actually let them grow a little bit. I'm going to heal again just because that taunt is going to be wearing out soon anyway, so I want to make sure my other guys can survive. I don't know if anybody's ever really played with sound. It took me probably 6 or 8 months before I ever even turned the sound on in my game, but anytime Ella gains health back, she has this really gnarly sounding little laugh that she does. I advise you to check it out. It's kind of comical, but it's also annoying when you get it after every single one of her attack with her leeching attacks. It's a little bit of a nuisance when you run along dungeon. Alright, so ultimately that wasn't that bad. Nice bulwark rune for this level. That's actually pretty good. Got this in a chest, if you remember. So that was actually pretty handy. It's got double defense. That's going to be a good bulwark for somebody. We'll put that into our next PvP rotation. That's going to be helpful for maybe for Stonefist. Not a bad idea. Alright, Hope's End. We have Undead. That's good for Yasmin. Undead is good for Yasmin. Bunch of casters. And another Undead. 4-star guys too. I remember running these guys in the believe in the boss mode campaign, or at least in the challenge mode campaign, they can be a beast because they'll taunt, and then the other one will taunt after you clear that. It's actually a pretty long fight, so we're going to need everything we have here. So I might actually have to use some energy potions. Notice we got recommended level 24, so I'm thinking the next chapter is going to have a recommended level 25, so we'll check that out in just a little bit. I'm obviously under-leveled in terms of what the general scope of this is, but remember I do have runes. My runes probably add about 2 levels worth of stats, so I'm right around the threshold of being able to beat this. And realistically, if I go into that fight with all of my skills, I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Alright, so let's start off, kill the casters. And once we get a sense of how long the dungeon is, then we'll worry about our energy usage from there. Kill the weaker one first. And you gotta watch out for those. Pretty heavy attack. So that's where having William would be a lot better than Stonefist, because I would have never taken that attack then. Alright, 2, 4, 5 room dungeon. We got quite a ways to go, so not overly concerned about using skills. I'm going to pick out the highest powered guy in here that I can see. Hope he does some damage. This is going to be one of those ones where it may have been better to save that AoE. Fortunately, that did enough damage where I can kill these casters, because the casters, even with a taunt up, those guys are not something you want to deal with, because if they do an AoE based attack, you're pretty much done for. And we've already seen that Yasmin doesn't heal a ton. I mean, fortunately, I have 2 heals with her, but we also need to keep that second one handy just to cleanse the disease and such like that. So always like to have a little buffer there. So I'm hoping that Yasmin can kill him. Darius kills him. Works out fine. So then we just deal with a single attacker then. I think this guy is gonna die though. Nope, we got lucky, so we can do a taunt here again. That works out well. And then by the time this taunt wears out, we should be heading into the boss room, and we should be able to taunt there again. So it should actually work out really, really well. Alright, so we might be dealing with an AoE here, I'm not sure. I don't think Yasmin can one-shot this guy, because he's not undead. Fortunately, it's not an AoE, like a arcane bolt thing like the other guy does. Actually, this dungeon went, or this room went pretty fast. My taunt is going to expire. Fortunately, only one of them is going to attack though, and the other guy's going to taunt. So I'm not in terrible shape there. So we're going to take the elemental advantage. We're going to daze this guy and have him attack his red counterpart. The only downside to that though is he's probably going to be the one that taunts then. So normally I would attack the guy who's not the taunter. So I'm going to attack him just because I want to see. Yep, so that's what I was hoping to do. Because if I attack the blue guy and do some damage on him, I was hoping that the red guy would taunt, which is ultimately what I wanted. Because then as long as the blue guy is dazed, not that big of an issue. So we're going to give Darius an extra little bit of crit here. Being that these guys are undead, that should be nice for Yasmin. Maybe should have threw the crit on Yasmin. That might have been a smarter play. I guess I wasn't really thinking there as far as my opponents. So the worst part about this fight, and I can vouch for this in the challenge campaign as well, is if you don't kill this guy fast enough, then he drops his taunt, the other guy pulls one up, and then they're both out there. So that's why I picked the red guy first, usually, because I have the elemental advantage there. So now it's just a matter of slow playing this guy, and I don't see any instance where I'm going to lose this unless he just absolutely runs wild on the team. So the taunt might drop a little bit, but he hasn't really demonstrated that he's capable of wiping the team yet. There's the rampage attack. So had that been another hit on Yasmin, that might have killed her. But he should be out of skills now for the most part. And we're about ready to recharge, so I'm just going to heal to preserve my 3-star. Okay, I did not see that coming. Armor break. I was just about to taunt with Stone Fist too. So that's kind of a game changer now, because you see I don't bring revive potions. So I lost my 3-star. It's kind of a bummer. I'll have to come back to this one. Assuming that I beat it, this guy might run the table here. Alright, we'll daze him. He won't be able to do anything daze. I was contemplating using a friend hero just to clean him up. I'll just check to see if anybody has Emily. I don't have a lot of friends on this account yet, so if you want to friend me, go ahead and send me a friend invite. Obviously, I could use some Archangel Emily's. That would have been nice to have right about now. Sort of like a cheat, but also not really. So one more hit. Alright, so we didn't 3-star, but I think had I gotten one more turn with Stone Fist, I could have taunted. But honestly, that armor break was going to kill anyone that he hit. So the fact that he didn't have full health, I kind of had that one coming. But not the end of the world. I'll just go back and I'll redo this one and get the 3-star without a problem. But what we want to do is let's check out Chapter 9 before we close out this video, just to see what's in store. So Chapter 9 has recommended level 24 and dealing with some casters here. So what I think I'm going to do is, before we get into Chapter 9, I will just revisit some daily questing, level up a little bit back to 24. We'll get to 24, maybe 25, and then we'll do our... I think we'll do Chapter 9 before the level 25 PvP. So we'll level up a couple levels just by doing dailies. We'll come back in a few days or a week or so, whenever I find the time here, and then we'll address it from there. So with that said, we're going to wrap this up here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching.